Hello everyone, this is a paper that I wrote together with Barkema at the London School of Economics. And essentially the premise is that enterprise in low resource contexts tend to operate under extreme resource scarcity, and achieving their objectives often depends on the extent to which they can apply existing resources to new use. So a pattern of behavior that we know as bricolage. And bricolage enables enterprises to not only access the resources needed to put their ideas into practice, but also to discover new ways to address previously unmet needs at low cost. And so the bricolage approach traditionally has been identified as strategically relevant for new enterprises or for early stage companies, but is potentially also important for multinational firms that explore new low resource markets on small budgets, or when employees take on new challenging tasks or projects with limited or new additional resources. So bricolage can thus be a process for both forming an initial strategy using minimal resources and forming a strategy that goes beyond the bounds of current activities. But bricolage has traditionally been regarded as a way to temporarily get by and as potentially negatively affecting growth and performance if it's continued more broadly over time, due to factors such as managers spreading their efforts too thin or an inability to develop learning activities and capabilities. Surprisingly though, in our research on entrepreneurship in resource-constrained environments, we encountered a social organization named Community.org, which out of necessity appeared to scale to a large variety of settings using bricolage. And so we analyzed this extreme case and sought to understand how this organization seemed to be able to resolve the paradox of consistently using bricolage while being able to scale successfully. And so it prompted our research question, can bricolage be scaled? And if so, how and why? To answer this question and to capture the process of bricolage in this new context, we used an inductive case study approach. And we did that because theory building from cases can be effective in revealing new concepts and logics of organizing and help us unpack complex patterns over time. We focused on CO, this organization that was set up in Bridgetown, which is an impoverished area in the Cape Flats in Cape Town in South Africa. And they subsequently expanded to other resource-constrained environments after they were set up a couple of years ago. And addressing the intricate problems that drug addicts and other vulnerable people in these townships faced, CO developed education, incubation, and IT training programs in those areas where most people lacked formal employment. And so in 2018, it had scaled to over 20 locations worldwide without losing its bricolage approach. In fact, seemingly they leveraged it to scale successfully. And so by studying this intriguing organization in depth and over time, our paper offers a couple of theoretical contributions and insights that we hope can be valuable for people and researchers around the world. First, by developing new process theory on how and why bricolage can be scaled, we resolve the paradox between bricolage and scaling. The organization that we studied helped develop and operate a large number of outlets that delivered their services in a similar way. So they replicated its approach. And the organization extracted simple but effective rules, so quote-unquote heuristics, from its operation at home that guided the identification, selection, and implementation of opportunities and transferred these to other locations and countries, while contextualizing them to local settings. And so this focus on replicating bricolage heuristics enabled carefully selected local parties in a variety of settings to identify and reap local opportunities for value creation as part of an overall low-cost scaling strategy that enabled both adaptation and innovation at the local level as well as on the organizational level. And so our process theory helps us understand how and why barriers to scaling bricolage as traditionally identified, such as lack of effectiveness, lack of learning, lack of quality standards, can be overcome by replicating bricolage heuristics in a low-cost way, which enables fit in a diversity or with a diversity of resource-constrained contexts. In turn, our findings on this social organization can also help us better understand a well-known empirical puzzle in the management literature, which is why are so few enterprises scaling up? Social enterprises typically have limited resources and face a great variety of local contexts in terms of the needs of users across social, cultural, and institutional settings, which requires local fit. And so traditional social organizations that use a bricolage approach will likely face similar barriers to scaling as traditionally observed, such as managers spreading their efforts too thin and an ability to develop learning capabilities. But as our process model shows, bricolage heuristics can be replicated at low cost while being adaptable to a variety of settings and enabling learning at the local and organizational level. So social organizations following this process approach might successfully overcome the traditionally observed barriers to scale. Importantly, social organizations can be seen as an interesting extreme case here, where our insights may also apply to other organizations that aim to innovate and scale at low cost across a variety of contexts. And prior literature has shown how important bricolage can be for small but also for large multinational companies, for example, to facilitate innovation in resource-constrained contexts. But the thing is that in this literature, bricolage is usually seen as a local source of local, low-cost innovation. By showing how innovation-enhancing bricolage can be replicated at scale across a diversity of resource-constrained contexts, we thus enhance our collective understanding of how an approach of low-cost innovation can be scaled across settings and thus transcend locally disconnected initiatives and benefits. We hope that this paper will be interesting to you and your students. I will be very happy to share the paper. Please do reach out for conversation, for discussion. It's something that we're extremely passionate about, so I would be delighted to keep in touch. Thank you so very much for watching.